Hello, I am One Who Hears, and I am the creator of the Diamond Star Combat mod. I began this development journey about a year ago because I wanted something like Mcheli in a modern Minecraft version, although this is not an Mcheli port. So in this video, I want to explain the basics of my mod to kickstart anyone interested in messing around with it. Keep in mind that this is very early in development, and things have probably changed a lot by the time you watch this video. Check out the Discord because I will be posting development updates. Feel free to ask questions about the mod in there as well. I also have a server that I want to host PvP events in to test the mod. The mod is also open source, and the GitHub page is in the description if you'd like to contribute. Alrighty, there are timestamps if you want to skip to certain sections. Let's begin. Let's start by opening the creative menu and going to the next page. The mod has 3 creative tabs. We have parts, weapons, and aircraft. I'm not going to talk much about crafting recipes because they will probably change a lot, and you can just use just enough items to see what the recipe is. The exceptions is the weapons and the vehicles. The weapons and vehicles have their own crafting benches that you can just put down and open and see the stats of the weapon and the crafting materials you need. Same with the aircraft. I will go more in depth on the weapon and plane stats in a future video. Now, making textures or anything artistic isn't one of my strengths, so again, the GitHub is in the description, and if you want to redesign some of these items, I wouldn't be offended. Now, you are probably wondering what all of these parts are. Some of these are utility items, like the gas cans and the wrenches. You can right-click an aircraft with a wrench to repair it if it's low on health, or you can right-click an aircraft with a gas can to refuel it. Others are just used to craft other things like the TI-83, the fuselage, and the wings. The third group is aircraft parts, like the fuel tanks, the engines, the radars. You're going to be able to customize the weapon loadout and how much fuel your aircraft has and what kind of radar and engines your aircraft has. I plan on adding a lot more parts in the future, and some of these parts might just cease to exist, like these engines. They will probably get replaced or renamed to something that makes more sense for aircraft. The stats will probably change in the future. You can look at all the item stats and potentially change them with commands. So we can just do get the data of the selected item, and there we go. We can see the fuel that this engine consumes, the weight of this engine, the thrust that this engine provides. There, in the future, when the items are more finalized, there will be a wiki detailing all the items stats, but that's how you can see them for now. And if you want to test things and you want to give it 1,000 thrust for some reason, you can use commands to change it if you want. All right, but let's go ahead and grab a plane and look at the internal aircraft menu. Don't worry about all the numbers and stuff for now. By default, to open the plane menu, you just hit U, and now we can see all this plane's items. So we have, you notice, 3 rows of words. The first row is the slot type, the second row is the slot name, and then the third is the item name. And we can left click and move them around to other parts of the plane. Certain items are only compatible with certain slots, so the engines are not compatible with the external, or the fuel tanks you can't put on a wing, and a weapon you can't put internally, and the radars, they require an advanced internal slot, so you can't put them in a normal internal slot. Finally, there's the get plane item button, which self-explanatory. It just turns the plane into an item, and now we have it in our inventory. But let's go ahead and jump in again. And how are we going to fly this thing? By default, controlling your throttle is the up and down arrow keys, and left and right is A and D, up and down is W and S, and rolling left and right is the left and right arrow keys. So let's go ahead and turn so we get a slightly longer runway, and then let's hold up on the arrow keys. And now we are flying. Another button to know is the landing gear, which is L. You may notice that switching your hand around to control the throttle, because the buttons are all the way on the arrow keys, is annoying. So my solution to that, a flip controls button, which is left alt by default. And when you press it, it just swaps the functionality of the WASD and the arrow keys. So if we hold left alt and press S, now the throttle is going down. And while holding left alt, we can press W and the throttle goes up. If we let go of left alt, Now W and S return to up and down. And then we can also hold left alt to press A and D to roll. There's another feature that causes the controls to get swapped. Notice how when we move the mouse, the camera moves around. If you press control, the camera gets locked with the direction of the plane, and the movements of the mouse are mapped to moving the plane left and right and up and down. And now the WASD is rolling and throttle up and down. Let's go back to the free look mode. Let's talk about turning. Now, whenever you turn, you have to be one with your aircraft and know its limit. I'll explain more in a future video, but basically if you turn too quickly, you can lose your lift and start to drop like a rock. Additionally, the heavier your aircraft, the easier it is to drop out of the sky. So the safest way to turn is just to turn slowly like this. There are other ways, but ultimately it is up to you to experiment and practice for yourself and know that every plane is different. The last maneuver I'll go over is a way to recover. If you do find yourself falling out of the sky, just pitch your nose down, and then once you feel the wings are giving lift again, then you can pull up. And now for the reason we are all here. I'll go over the more technical details of how the weapons work in the future, but here are the basics. Right now there are bullets and missiles, and the bullets are pretty simple. You just right click and makes sense. Also, to switch weapons, you just press G. Then there are three kinds of missiles. There's position-guided missiles, heat-seeking missiles, and radar-guided missiles. The position-guided missiles, like the one I have selected, you just right-click a point in the world, and the missile tries to go to where you point. Simple enough. The heat-seeking missiles, they're really useful when you're fighting another aircraft, but you just right-click and they just go and try to find a heat source within their field of view, which I don't think there is any nearby. Yeah, and so that missile is just going into the mountain. And then the radar-guided missiles, there's radar-guided missiles that target air, and then there's ones that target ground. Like this one, you just left-click the target, and then it just goes. By the way, heat-seeking missiles get distracted by flares, and you can press a V to throw your flares. Now let's talk about reloading and refueling. So we can see that this one only has 2 missiles left, this one is completely empty, and the fuel tank needs to be refueled, and the flare dispenser needs some more flares. Oh, and so does the gun. To refuel the gas tank, you can just take a gas can, go to the crafting menu, put the fuel tank and the gas can in the same thing, and now this is full, and now 13 of the gas can was used. For the flare dispenser, it's the same thing, except you use blaze powder. Maybe it'll be an actual item in the future, I don't know. For these, we just have to grab their ammo type. So we'll grab some of these. Notice if I put the wrong kind of ammo, it's not gonna work. So this is the heat-seeking missiles. There we go, now that one's full. Now that one's full, and we have 2 left. Let's put this in here. If you put just the weapon by itself, it unloads all of its ammo, but we can also do this, and it has the same result. Alright, that's all I wanted to cover today. I'll be posting updates on the mod and some PvP videos using this mod. Join the Discord if you want to be a part of that. If you want to see more, please press the like and subscribe button.